Hello students. In this video, we're going to dive into some super exciting concepts in statistics and data handling. These ideas help us organize, understand, and represent all kinds of information. Let's start with the range. This tells us how spread out our data is. It's like a little math trick to figure out the difference between the largest and smallest numbers in a set. To calculate it, we just use this simple formula: range equals maximum value minus minimum value. For example, if we have the numbers 3, 5, 7, and 2, the range would be 7 minus 2 equals 5. Next up, we have the array. It's basically a smart way to organize things. You can line up your numbers from smallest to largest, or the other way around. Think of it like sorting your toys, from the smallest to the biggest. Now, let's talk about frequency. This helps us figure out how many times something shows up in our data. So, if you were counting balloons, the frequency would tell you which colors pop up the most often. When you need to count something quickly, you can use tally marks. They're super simple lines you draw to keep track of things. Imagine you're counting how many classmates love a certain subject. Tally marks make it easy. To organize all this information, we can use a frequency distribution table. It's a handy table that shows how often each thing appears. It's super useful when you're rolling dice or counting how many times a certain number shows up. There's also something called ungrouped frequency distribution. It's when you collect a bunch of information but don't sort it into groups. Like having a pile of toys and counting each one individually. On the other hand, grouped frequency distribution organizes information into groups. For example, you can group ages or numbers into ranges, like ages 3 to 4 or 5 to 6, to make the data easier to understand. When we group numbers, we use class intervals. These are ranges that include several values. For example, a class interval could be ages 3 to 4 or 5 to 6. Each class interval has a lower limit and an upper limit. The lower limit is where the range starts, and the upper limit is where it ends. It's like the starting and ending points of your group. Now, the size or width of the class interval is how big the group is. If the range is 5 to 6, the width is just 1, 6 minus 5 equals 1. In the middle of each group, we have the class mark. This is the midpoint of the class interval. For example, if the range is 5 to 6, the class mark is 5.5, it's right in the center. Now, let's talk about statistics. It's a branch of math that helps us understand large amounts of numbers. It's like having a superpower to collect and interpret data. One of the key concepts is the mean, or the average. You can find the mean by adding up all the numbers in a set and then dividing by how many numbers there are. Next, we have the median. This is the middle number in a sorted list. If there's an even number of numbers, the median is the average of the two middle ones. Then there's the mode. The mode is the number that appears the most often in your data set. You can also visualize data with a histogram. It uses bars to show how frequently different groups of numbers appear, with one axis showing the class intervals and the other showing frequency. A bar graph is another way to represent data, with bars showing the amount of a certain item. The taller the bar, the more there is. If you prefer circles, a pie graph shows data in slices of a pie. Each slice represents a part of the whole, just like cutting a pizza into slices. When we run experiments, like rolling dice or picking marbles, the result is called an event. And finally, we have probability. It's the chance that something will happen. The probability is always between 0, for impossible events, and 1, for things that are certain to happen. So, now that you know some of the key concepts in statistics and data handling, here's a quick question for you. What's the formula to calculate the range of a dataset? Share your answer in the comments. The complete curriculum for Class 7 is available on our channel. Check out all the links provided in the description below. Please make sure to like, share, and comment for more such videos.